5-minute warning here. I think we'll be able to start in about 5 minutes. Thank you. I'm sorry again for the delay. Well, good morning. The Senate Special Committee on Congressional Redistricting will come to order. The clerk will please call the roll.
Senator King.
Here.
Senator Creighton.
Here.
Senator Alvarado. Senator Hinojosa.
Present.
Senator Hughes.
Here.
Senator Miles.
Here.
Senator Parker. Senator Paxton.
Present.
Senator Sparks.
Eight.
Sorry.
Seven. That's right. There being 7 members present, a quorum has been established. The purpose of today's hearing is to lay out a bill and to hear public testimony on that bill. If you intend to provide verbal testimony or would like to register a position on the bill, please register at one of the kiosks located behind the committee hearing room. We're going to, because of the number of witnesses today, we're going to limit testimony to 2 minutes. But you're likely to be asked questions by some of the senators, and if you are, that time certainly doesn't count against you, and the senators can ask as many questions for as long a period as they wish. I'm going to close registration at we'll do it an hour after the committee hearing begins, so let's call it. We'll close registration at the kiosks at 10:15 this morning. Members, just so you'll know, registration was opened at 8 a.m. Today. To ensure that everyone will be heard in a timely manner, we will ask 4 witnesses to be seated at the witness table at a time. So I'll call your names, and I may let you know ahead of time that you'll be in the next panel if I can pull that off. Any member of the public may also submit written comments and attachments to the committee via the public input portal. If necessary, we will take a 5 to 10 minute break every few hours so that members can stretch their legs. And also just want to mention, if you see a member get up and walk out, please know that it's not an indication that they aren't interested in what's going on. We have to take a quick break on occasion too. And if they have to go back to the back room and grab a cup of coffee or for the restroom, the audio plays back there as well. So as well as the video, so they'll know everything that's going on when they step out. Members, I know that there's a number of you may have some comments today. I'm certainly available to answer any questions when we lay out the bill. I also will reserve some time. I'm hoping we can take the bill up for vote today, and if we can, I'll certainly reserve time at the end for you to make any closing remarks that you wish to make at that time. If we have no committee amendments on file for today's hearing, we also have some overflow room, and if we end up needing that, I'll announce where those are at. And with that, I'm going to pass the gavel to Vice Chair Creighton. And again, I want to thank everybody for being here today.
Okay, thank you, members. At this time, the chair lays out Senate Bill 4 and recognizes its author, Chairman King.
Thank you. And members, the layout's a little bit longer on this than we normally do in committees, but this is such an important issue. I'd like to, with your patience and grace, go into a little bit more detail. I want to thank all the members of the committee who are in attendance today, and we're all taking time away from home and family and business and everything for the special session. The purpose of this layout is to provide an overview of the bill for the committee and for the public. And just a little context of the special session, on July 9th, Governor Abbott called this special session, which began on July 21st, 2025. The duration of the special session is 30 days. All the topics of the special session are set by the governor, not the legislature. One of the topics for this special session is congressional redistricting, and of course that's the subject matter that we have before us today. House Bill 4, HB 4, was introduced in the House on Wednesday, July 30th, and was passed out of the House Committee on August 2nd, 2025. Note that today we are considering the Senate bill, which is a companion, which was filed by me on Monday, August 4th. So the House bill and the Senate bill are identical at this stage. It is the chairman's prerogative to set a schedule for review of the bill under our Senate rules. My goal is to complete redistricting within this 30-day window offered by the current special session. Now, there's been a lot of activity on the House side, but we today are focused at our job at hand for the Senate, which is to address the bill before us. Now, I want to take a moment to discuss the public input we've had on redistricting. I want to take us back to 2021 because all of the data that we will be using and are using for this redistricting process is from the 2020 census data. So since 2021, the Senate has held 21 regional or public hearings, and the House itself has had many additional hearings. I think they actually had some in 2019, I think 14 regional hearings in 2019. Now, these hearings have given the legislature an opportunity to hear the public's concerns about the 2020 census data and about redistricting in general. This plan, as I said, is based on the 2020 census data. 4 Senate regional public hearings and 1 additional public hearing, specifically for invited testimony, have been held during this special session. And let me comment a minute on those regional hearings. We divided them up regionally. However, anyone was able to testify on any portion of the state at each hearing if they desired. But we had the South Texas and Central Texas hearing on July 25th, 2025. We had the North Texas hearing on July 26th, 2025. We had the East Texas hearing on July 28th, and the West Texas, which included the El Paso area, on July 29th. Over the course of these 4 public hearings, regional hearings, we heard from 205 individual witnesses. We had 205 people individually testify before this committee. And as we were utilizing virtual testimony and live streaming, we had approximately 3,852 clicks to the Senate live stream that were recorded. In other words, at over 3,850 times, people entered in to watch the hearings online. Testimony included invited witnesses, the names of which had been given to us by the Senate Democrat Caucus chair, and sitting members of Congress. Congressman Mark Vesey testified, as well as Congresswoman Lizzie Fletcher, Sylvia Garcia, and Congressman Al Green. We provided the opportunity for the public to provide testimony by remote means, as I mentioned, and sessions were held on Saturday and after hours. We were aware that some people might be prevented from participating due to a long drive, the long distance obviously from Austin if we had the hearings here, or by work or family obligations. And so we did this in this virtual fashion so that as many people as possible could offer their input. And we had just that. We had people testify from all over the state. It was interesting how many people said, thank you for doing this. I'm down in the RGV today, or I'm some other place and I couldn't be there, or there's a House hearing that I wanted to attend and couldn't get to, or I went to the House hearing and wasn't able to testify, so I appreciate y'all doing this today so I could do this without driving again to Austin. In addition, on August the 6th, the Senate held, this committee held a hearing for invited testimony, and we invited the following interested parties. Again, these were names that were given to us at our request by the Democrat caucus chair, and many of these testified during our teleconference hearings. Nina Perales with MALDEF, Gary Bledsoe with the Texas NAACP, Ellen Katz with the University of Michigan Law School, Michael Lee with the Brennan Center for Justice, Niyati Shah with the Asian Americans Advancing Justice, Leah Aden with the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, Luis Figueroa with Every Texan, Ramon Palomares with LULAC, Tenias Chavez with La Union del Pueblo Entero, and also we invited the entire Democrat congressional delegation. Again, this was all for the August 6th invited testimony hearing. This hearing was held specifically because there were comments at the regional hearings earlier that a map was not available on which to testify, and so we wanted to give these interested parties and stakeholders a specific opportunity to come and testify before the committee on SB 4, on the bill before us today. We held that public hearing yesterday with, as I said, over a dozen invited witnesses and all of the Democratic congressional delegation, but they all chose to either decline the invitation or not respond at all. So today is we're here for the public to testify, which is another reason I wanted to bifurcate, to separate these into two hearings, invited testimony and public testimony, is because I didn't want you to have to wait 2 or 3 hours until invited testimony would be over, as we had seen happen in the House, which wasn't their fault, but I just didn't want you to have to wait a long time. During this special session, we also reopened, actually I think before the session began, the public comment portal, through which any member of the public may provide comments and present documents. As of noon yesterday, we have received 3,668 public comments through the public portal. All of these public comments are being and will be distributed to the committee members, and we are in the process of making these available to all senators and the public on the Senate's website as soon as possible. We've been processing about 400 of these a day, and my staff's not crazy happy about that, but it just takes a while to go through them. We have to redact personal information. We don't want to make it, if you've filed something with the portal, we don't want to make your personal email or phone number or home address or anything like that available to the public. So we're having to go through each one of those that comes in. We're doing about 400 a day, and we're trying to redact, black marker out your personal information. But those are being made available to the committee and will soon be available to all the public and all the Senate members. Now, that brings us to where we are today in this laying out this bill. And I want to take just a moment, if I may, to discuss redistricting history and some principles and legal standards. I believe that I'm correct in saying that redistricting has been addressed during special sessions of the Texas legislature as far back as at least 1871, when they did school district redistricting, and then they did congressional redistricting in a special session in 1882. This also includes special sessions in the past 6 redistricting cycles. They did redistricting in special sessions in 1971, 1981, 1991, 1997. That was actually for the education again, Board of Education. We did special session redistricting in 2003, 2011, 2013, and 2021. The 2021 was delayed because the census data did not come out until the Senate had adjourned in its regular 2021 session. So we had to come back and do redistricting in the special session. My point is, the legislature can choose and has chosen many times to redistrict during a special session. And we can frankly, lawfully, and by precedent, redistrict at any time the legislature so desires, including mid-decade, as we are today. And the states have very broad authority. All states have very broad authority. This is recognized by the courts under the U.S. Constitution and its election clause to choose when to do redistricting. Now, the U.S. Constitution requires that congressional districts be drawn with population as close to equal as possible to achieve the one person, one vote standard. We have some flexibility when we're doing House and Senate maps, but we do not with the congressional districts. This standard is from this one person, one vote standard, is from the Supreme Court's 1964 decisions in Westbury v. Sanders and Reynolds v. Sims. It's also grounded in the 14th Amendment and Article 1, Section 2 of the U.S. Constitution. So, for our purposes of this map that we're considering today, the ideal district size is 766,987 in population. SB 4, I will tell you, meets the one person, one vote standard. Now, please also note, for any of the senators on the committee or the other senators in the body, please also note that any amendments that would be presented in this committee or on the floor must meet this same population criteria as well as all other legal criteria. Every proposed amendment here or on the floor, the proponent must be able to demonstrate that their proposed amendment meets these legal requirements. So please be prepared to discuss that if you have I think it'll be floor amendment because we don't have any amendments filed for the hearing today. Now, a little bit about the legal basis for district design. The area of redistricting law is robust, to say the least. I've consulted with our legal counsel, and I am confident that SB 4 complies with the law in all regard. The House came to the same conclusion with HB 4, our companion. Therefore, starting with the position that our map is legal in all regard, I've tried to focus on 2 major issues. My first objective in adopting the House map and presenting this map today, my first objective is to create a plan that elects more Republicans to the U.S. Congress. In contrast to the complications involved with race-based redistricting, political performance, in this case, my objective of electing more Republicans to the U.S. Congress, is a permissible basis for drawing electoral districts. This was recognized by the U.S. Supreme Court in Rucho v. Common Cause and in, I guess it's pronounced Vieth v. Jubileer. Those were 2019 and 2024 cases, respectively. My second objective, and the first was to elect more Republicans to the U.S. Congress. My second objective, and I'll admit I wasn't initially intending to focus on this, but we, during the public testimony, heard repeated comments from citizens that districts weren't compact, meaning that there were so many districts that were irregularly shaped, oddly shaped. Now, districts that are drawn to be compact tend to aid in representation because they avoid the risk of distant communities being being united when they may not have everything in common. And I'll mention my Senate district. I have urban Fort Worth and Arlington, and then I also have rural counties, one with only 4,000. And the districts are different and the needs are different. So you want to try to make districts as compact as possible. It also allows it a lot more ease for the, in this case, the congressional members to travel across those districts. Now, I will say this is a particular difficulty in Texas because we are so large. We're not New Jersey. We're a state of 254 counties and 31 million people. And particularly when you get into West Texas, so many of those counties have only 5,000 or 10,000 in population. So when you're trying to put a district together that has 766,987 people in it, you tend to have to reach in often and grab population from an urban area, but then add a lot of rural counties to it, because that's simply the only way you can meet the one person, one vote requirements that we have in this very large county. It's not such an issue in the urban areas or in the areas closer to the urban areas because we can make those more compact. And what we heard from a lot of citizens is that there are a number of districts that could be more compact, but were not. And so that became a second objective in looking at this SB4. Now, I will tell you that SB4 accomplishes both objectives. Even a quick look at the plan, and we've put maps up, as you can see. We've got maps on easels at the back, both maps of the district, the current districts, the proposed districts under SB4, and then the regional areas. And there's also copies of maps available for the public in the back of the room. But this map accomplishes both the objectives. Even a quick look at the plan shows it is more compact in many ways, and we'll look at a couple of those in a minute. And it has better political performance, from my perspective, than the enacted plan, the current district map. Let's talk about the impact a little bit of this proposed map. Let's go through some of the high-level changes. SB4 redraws 37 of 38 congressional districts. But let me say most districts are changed in only very minor, even non-substantive ways. The most significant changes, the most significant changes affect 5 districts, and those districts will now lean Republican in political performance. That would be CD9 in Houston, CD28 in the RGV, the Rio Grande Valley, CD32 in Dallas, CD34 coastal area in South Texas, and CD35, which is primarily the San Antonio area. Now, by drawing race blind, which is what I did, I have not looked at nor considered racial data in drawing this map. By drawing race blind, SB4's districts are substantially more compact with more reasonable geographic configurations that provide a better basis for representation. I'd like to show you a couple examples. Let's start with, and again, if you've picked up a map at the back, and you can't see this very well from here, I know, but if you look at District 32, it has, where am I at? 32. Yeah, right, good, sorry. If you look at District 32 as it's drawn today, it covers it's over 2 counties, but it's very disjointed, and I know this area very well. It's very disjointed in the communities it reaches into and the roads it follows, and comes all the way here through South Dallas, up through Central, goes way up into Denton, then it curves down in odd structures and comes here. And the way it is done under this map, it is very compact and combines counties in a very, really, I think, appropriate way. Another example is District 35. This is probably the best example. It's one people often point to and pointed to often in testimony when they spoke of districts that were not compact. This district begins way down in Bexar County, and you can see it has some population down here. It gets very, very thin, exceptionally thin, as it converses through Guadalupe and Comal counties, up through Hayes, along Caldwell, and then all the way up into Travis, and then takes unique turns and bends in Travis. In the proposed map, SB4, you can see that that CD35 is now very compact, very clearly structured, and pulls together communities of similar interest with Karnes, Wilson, Bexar, and Guadalupe counties. So it is much, much more compact. And I'll tell you that the existing district is, I would suggest, one of the most oddly drawn districts in the country today. So I believe the map is much more compact than what we have in the current map. Now, and again, as I mentioned, my understanding is that these 5 districts, 9, 28, 32, 34, and 35, should perform on a partisan basis now for the Republican Party. Again, I want to say I did not look at racial data, but for the committee members in your bill packets, there is census data in the bill packets produced by Legislative Council to which you can refer if you wish to. Again, that is public census data. It is not racial data. Now, in conclusion, I would say that SB4, which is before us today, is more compact than the enacted plan, the current plan, and it complies with all applicable law. We've had plenty of opportunity for testimony with regard to redistricting and census data all the way back literally to 2021, and we've had a lot of discussion and 5 hearings thus far, with almost 4,000 people participating and 205 witnesses just before the Senate. We've had ample opportunity, and no one has presented data or a compelling case that this map violates any applicable laws. So it accomplishes what were my 2 objectives. First, that it perform better on a partisan basis for Republicans, but then second, that it be more compact as requested by so many of the witnesses. And with that, I would do my best to answer any questions, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman. Senator Miles, questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the explanation you just gave. I'd like to start off by going back to July 21st when we had a joint caucus of the whole, meaning we had the Democratic caucus and the Republican caucus, and this was our initial conversation about this redistricting. Our initial conversation in private, just us.
Yes, sir.
I want to make it very clear that, Mr. Chairman, when you made it clear that I would be on this committee and I accepted it, and as well as you and Lieutenant Governor, that my exact words to you were, I couldn't see the fight going any other way. If there was going to be a fight, I wanted to be in the room. So I appreciate you for allowing me to be here on this committee. But what I also said to all of my colleagues, to you of all my colleagues, is I've looked at this process, and if we're going to do this, is what I said to you, if we're going to do this, Senator Hughes, I'm going to expose it for what it really is. If you recall me saying that. I said I would expose it for what it really is, and in turn, each one of you would be exposed